I have used Dr. Morses' Indian root pills for some years, been subject to lumbago, writes Mr. Robert F. Mason of Ferguson Street, Newtown, Wellington, and I can recommend them as a good medicine for this complaint. I can speak from experience concerning Dr. Morses' Indian root pills, writes Mrs. Maria Dudley, 129 Cox Street, Ashburton, having found them effective in combating constipation. We can all get a giggle out of those two, I guess, lower back issues and constipation, as it would be 2 more decades, however, till Fleming discovered penicillin. Sepsis seems a longer stretch, and a more deadly one. More so, given there was no secret traditional Native American Indian root discovered by its founder who had lived amongst a tribe. Or in other domains, the story was it was a rare root Morse had found whilst on an Himalayan expedition. The closest the product came to being a root was containing aloe vera and mandrake. Cook parts of mandrake up the right way and you'll give LSD a run for its money. One of the main constituents was also a cayenne pepper. And surprise, surprise, there was no Dr. Morse. Rather, the Canadian Comstock family ran their proprietary medicine business for a good century from factories in North America, Indian root being their biggie, as well as the equally useless product said to be good for worms. Sales rather dropped their global range when it became compulsory to list the ingredients. Another product said to have been graciously bestowed on a paleface by North American Indians was Sloan's. The keeper of the secret ingredients, which in reality were mostly just capsicum and turpentine oil, being Dr. Earl Sloan. Earl Sloan was actually a real person, only he wasn't a doctor. His father was a vet, and that got him into the family business trading and treating horses. One of his father's veterinary products was a liniment for horses, which went gangbusters during the American Civil War. And then at the close of that engagement, went on to be sold to farms and at country fairs, Earl remarketing the liniment for Homo sapiens along with his brother, using the line, "good for man and beast." Further uses included treating those suffering from the nerve effects of diabetes, shingles and arthritis, and, drumroll please, herpes. If you fit any of these categories, fret not, you can still buy the stuff on Amazon. By the way, at one stage they had a factory in Australia that supplied New Zealand. The king of emulsions, and a sure way to induce a childhood trauma amongst older Kiwis. The homegrown lanes went down New Zealanders' gullets from 1898 till right up till 1984. In defence of Oamaru chemist Edward Lane, brandy was one of those ingredients. Pity cod liver oil and egg were also in the mix as well. You and your psychiatrist can still visit the original Lane's factory building in the Victorian precinct of Oamaru even today. Shudder and dry retch outside involuntarily. Credit where credit is due, Lane's had the coolest adverts the country has ever seen. Now on to Warner's Safe Diabetes. New Yorker Hubert Warner was making a play on his old profession, which made him a millionaire, by the way, before he went into medicines, and that's to say, making bank safes. Warner began in 1878 and had sales offices around the globe, not just the big smokes of London and Frankfurt. Warner's also had a presence in Dunedin as well. They made outlandish claims, which given the passage of time, someone should have really taken them up on, given modern day testing of the contents indicates traces of, at varying dates and consistencies, opium, morphine, heroin and cocaine. Insulin and diet are way overrated, I tell you. Malaria was also well within its spectrum, and their asthma cure was also sold here. In the end, Hubert came a cropper by using Warner's as a cash cow and speculating his fortune on a series of failed mines. booted out of his own company by the other shareholders, and he lost the lot. A heads up and reward for those who have got this far into the video: all his bottles are highly collectible. Find one in an old farm shed, and even minus the label, you'll be banking $2,000. Speaking about cocaine, can I recommend a top-notch dentist? You'll be good to go after the most heinous op. Drive home at 100 miles an hour feeling a box of fluffies. Suck on some cocaine, throat lozenges. That 1912 advert, by the way, came from the New Zealand Nurses magazine. I'm not a doctor, but I'm not recommending you gnaw on the walls to get a daily dose of formaldehyde. To quickly now interrupt, since there's too much content for one video, expect a sequel. Onwards. Skinny man, I'm talking to you, skinny man. Wells will put some lead in the old pencil. The US-based Wells tended to prey on men's frailties, having a hair balsam which purported to grow here. In case you were wondering where I got the local Wells advert from for the precursor for Viagra, Tablet, the local weekly Catholic newspaper. Catholics, I'm now talking to you. Zouth. Kiwi entrepreneurs from the early 1900s. Nothing like an ambiguous Wellington post office box to inspire confidence in a product. And in case you think I've stuffed up the pronunciation of their name, and it should be Zouth, as in south, they kindly explain their name unambiguously, along with their claims, their pills cure, which would tend to be a plus, and touch the liver. Probably not a good thing unless you happen to be a surgeon and heavily sedated. Zouth, as in Ruth's and ballyhoo, were a good reminder hyperbole was not confined to just overseas products being sold and advertised in New Zealand, because there was no Zouth in London. And speaking about questionable claims, the healing properties of Anti-Acido went beyond the humble acid reflux. And in the unlikely circumstances Anti-Acido didn't work, you had a fallback. And the local agents had spent a fortune in freight getting it into the country via mail steamer. And if there are any remaining doubts as to its effectiveness, they'd make it possible for you to pick it up at your local pub. Moving on from this bogus claims theme, Certicura Ointment from 1890. It cures everything it touches. Apparently, ever so. Nothing like blowing your own trumpet, I guess. A not inconsiderable list of curable ailments for the Liniment out of Baltimore, made up of turpentine, camphor, ether, alcohol, carbolic acid and capsicum. This time the ancient secrets behind St. Jacob's wasn't given to its creator August Vogler by Red Indians. Rather, having arrived in the US via Germany, Vogler spuriously claimed St. Jacob's was passed on to him by monks living in a castle amongst the Black Forest. What a better product line to bring this first episode to a close than piles, cones, starting with the homegrown Dr. Fellows. The info on the front of those boxes give precise application instructions. Insert night and morning well into the passage. A certain cure for hemorrhoids. and casually tell your friends over a few beers at the pub or at the garden club. Not that Dr. Fellows had the piles market cornered, not by a long shot, and competition included rough on piles. And when you weren't shoving them up your bum, they'd bump off errant rodents and sort out your warts. I'm sure you'll agree this one has been a bit of a hoot, and it's far from over. Now sit back and enjoy a whole range of random adverts for random cure-alls featured in local magazines and newspapers. I'll spot you next time. Bye for now, and look out for number 2 in the series.